theatre company Jerusalem's process of transforming ancient Jewish texts to contemporary performance. My name is Gabriella Lev. We are going to be focusing on how we created the performance Sota. So this will fit in with the Global Day learning topic of love, devotion, desire, and deception. Here in Sota, there is a suspicion of deception. We will be looking at the texts that inspired and informed the performance, and I will attempt to convey to you the visceral experience of this process. We may ask, why create performance from ancient texts? How is it relevant? For me, this is a mute question. Being an artist working in Israel in the 21st century, it's obvious that these ancient Jewish texts are relevant to me and fascinating. And apparently, our performances around the world with our various creations from ancient Jewish texts have also shown that this material is fascinating to theatre audiences worldwide. However, in order to understand our process, I'd like to frame it a little bit by telling you about us, our dreams and aspirations, our history. Theatre Company Jerusalem was founded in 1985 by myself and fellow artists Aliza Elion Israeli, Ruth Wieder-Magen, and Joyce Miller. We aspired to create a theatre of excellence, fusing ancient Jewish texts with contemporary performance, focusing on the woman's voice. And we have been privileged to have won many accolades and prizes. Our permanent residence is the Mazi Theatre Center, and I'm sitting in the office of the building now. It's a historic building renovated to a state-of-art center with 2 full theaters, 3 studio performance spaces, and it's in the center of downtown Jerusalem. So I invite all of you, when you're in Jerusalem, to come and visit us, 18 Mesilat Yesharim, right near Machane Yehuda Market. TCJ has created and produced over 30 works. We have been privileged to perform to over 300,000 people, and we are involved in numerous educational projects, providing training for both theatre professionals and non-professionals. We've done a lot of work with educationers, educational projects that work with teachers, and we also work with the socially challenged sections of the community. Now, what are our aims? When we were creating Sota, and I think up till today, we were concerned with many themes: the reclaiming of the woman's voice, not for the sake of political equality, but out of a deep belief that a culture can only be complete when it contains the voices of all the people who belong to that culture. Through reclaiming the woman's voice, we were strengthening our cultural essence for men, women, and children alike. Furthermore, we were engaged with the questions of our purpose as Israeli citizens in the 20th and 21st century. What was required of us as artists, and what would be our, Israel's, contribution to world culture? We were discovering our organic relationship to our roots, our land, our gender. Please let me quote Emmanuel Levinas, the great French Jewish thinker, when he presents the idea that our great holy texts are in fact organic knowledge. Traditionally, we engage with these texts through Chavruta knowledge. So we have 2 people and the text is a third partner. I believe that by bringing woman's consciousness to bear on these texts, we are regenerating and renewing the texts themselves, and also by performing the works to the public at large, also a non-Jewish public, we are further regenerating and reviving them. Now, please allow me to frame our consideration of Sota by clarifying the approach of TCJ in reading the female in Jewish texts. When we as theatre artists read these women-centered texts, we are not merely concerned with the woman's social position or psychological motivations within the linear story. We are looking at the concept of the female force in Judaism and the place of this energy in what we all know is a patriarchal story. In all our works on the female, Buria, Esther, Sarah, Sota, and the unnamed women in Talmudic tales, we found a pattern of performance and a pattern in which the tradition commonly regarded this behavior of the woman. From the first paradigmic story of the woman, Chava, the first woman, Chava, this is the first time that female energy is present in the Torah through a person, a finite characteristic of the female figure appears, and it's repeated again and again in the stories of our tradition. And this characteristic has fascinated me. The woman commits a subversive act, and by her subversive act, not only impels the story forward, but usually receives some kind of a reward, in inverted commas, for her act. Hava, of course, the act of Hava, is eating the forbidden fruit at the prompting of the serpent, and we shall meet the serpent again later in the story of Sota. And thus, by eating the fruit, Hava allows the whole story to unfold. If it were not for Hava's act, Adam and Eve, Hava, would still be sitting in paradise. The story would end there. There would be no need to continue. Everything is perfect. But Hava's act allows the story to develop, allows God to develop. Now, her punishment, in inverted commas, if we look carefully at it, is also a reward. It is, in fact, an enormous cosmic gift. It says, "Ve'etzef tildi banim," in pain shall you bring forth children. And the Judeo-Christian tradition concentrates on the word in pain, but let us look at what's actually happening. She is going to give birth. Up till now, creation has been in the hands of the main player, God. He creates by speaking, "Let there be light," and light manifests. Now he is sharing this enormous power of creation with the woman. Life will come through her, and Hava is rewarded by the very ability that prompted her to eat the fruit, to be godlike. She becomes godlike. She can create. In her body, new life is created. So this is amazing, right? If we think of it, that the woman seems to need to make a subversive act, and we see this again in Sota. The female energy is somehow connected with duality and a seemingly subversive act. The woman goes astray from the norm, a stia in Hebrew. A stia actually means an irregularity or missing the mark. And because of this association with stia, missing the mark, it has been traditionally forbidden for women to learn Torah. The famous saying of Rabbi Eliezer, Kol hamelamed bito Torah ki'ilu melameda tiflut. Whoever teaches his daughter Torah, it is as though he is teaching her foolishness. This quote comes from where? From Mishnah Sota. So we have done a full circle back to Sota, and with your permission, I would like to look at the text of Sota. I will actually read it in English. I imagine that you have the text in front of you and that you'll be able to follow. Before I read it, I would like to look at where this text is placed where the story is placed. It appears in Bamidbar, in the desert. And the place is very important. It's, of course, very important if you're an artist. You have to know, where is everything happening? Is it happening in New York with, huge skyscrapers? No, it's happening in the desert. When I say desert, what do you immediately see? What do you immediately feel? You see a barren wasteland. You hear perhaps silence. This is a place where nature rules. This is a place that is not of civilization. This is where the story takes place. And in our tradition, Bamidbar, the children of Israel had a very special way to camp in the desert, and they always camped in this formation. And in the center of the formation was the Ohel Moed, the holy space. And that was the center of their world at that time. While working on the play, we wonder about stories and how in each story there is always a hidden story which is impossible to capture in words. The true story is slippery. We can only intuit it sometimes by the sound and the form in which it is written. And so we would read this story again and again, listening with closed eyes. And we discovered the ancient fugue of two stories, entwined and echoing and contradicting each other. And between these two stories, in the one text, perhaps lies the real story. So let me start by Pasuk 12, Yud Bet. And if any man's wife go aside and act unfaithfully against him, and a man lie with her carnally, and it be hid from the eyes of her husband, she being defiled secretly, and there be no witnesses against her, neither she be taken in the act, and the spirit of jealousy come upon him, and he be jealous of his wife, and she be defiled, or if the spirit of jealousy come upon him, and he be jealous of his wife, and she not be defiled. Okay, this is the basis of the story. These are the conditions that the story happens. Before going into the meaning, let's just listen to the story. In theater, we approach things physically. I'd like to read the Hebrew for you and just listen to what you hear in the sound. As you know, the Torah was learnt orally, and people have been listening to it for perhaps longer than people have been reading it. Ish hitiste ishto umala bumal v'shahav ishota shichvat zera v'ne'elam mi'enei isha v'nistara v'hi nitma'a v'ed enba v'hi lo nitpasa. What do we hear there? Ish hitiste ishto. Yeah, we hear this sounds. The sounds of the serpent that we met in the story of Chava, the sound of silence of the Midbar, a sound of danger, something singing, a sound that we should be beware, a mysterious sound. All these things are contained in the story, and we have learned that just by listening to the Hebrew. So the story is about a man whose wife seems to have gone astray, and she has lain carnally with another man. This is what it says, Shichvat Zera. It's very important that there be seed involved, okay? Semen. And she is hidden, and she is defiled, and there is no witnesses, and she cannot be caught. Now, it's very important that there are no witnesses, because if there were witnesses, she would be an adulteress, and she is not a Sota. Okay? So these are the conditions. But there is one other very important condition. V'avar alav ruach hina, the spirit of jealousy must come over him. But in the middle of this sentence, 14, Yud Dalet, there is a word, a two-letter word that springs out at us, almost shouting. And the spirit of jealousy come upon him, and he be jealous of his wife, or the spirit of jealousy come upon him, and he be jealous of his wife, and she be not defiled. This story is actually a virtual story. We're told the story about a man who's jealous of his wife, and she be defiled, or maybe not. Usually a story isn't told this way. Cinderella doesn't all go to the ball or not go to the ball. She has to go to the ball because she has to meet the prince. Here, there is an ambivalent story being told. There is something else is happening. But let's go on and see, when all these things happen, and when a man is jealous of his wife, what happens? Then shall the man bring his wife unto the priest, and shall bring her offering for her, the 10th part of barley. He shall pour no oil upon it, for it is a meal offering of jealousy. And the priest shall bring her near, and set her before the Lord. Now this is amazing. We have the encampment, and this anonymous woman, she doesn't have a name. Not only is she anonymous, she's very mysterious. We can't see her. There are no witnesses. Is brought to the center of the then world, and she is placed before no other than Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, before the main player. If we look at it as theater for a minute, she is placed opposite the main player. She is become incredibly visible suddenly. And then let's see what happens. The priest shall take holy water in an earthen vessel, and the dust that is on the floor of the tabernacle, and he puts the dust in the water. And then the priest sets the woman before the Lord, and then he lets the hair of the woman go loose, and he puts the meal offering of memorial in her hands, which is the meal offering of jealousy. And the priest shall have in his hand the water of bitterness that causeth the curse. The water of bitterness is this holy water of the tabernacle and the dust. But look what has happened to the woman. She has become even more visible because her hair has become loose, and she's holding something in her hand. She's becoming bigger and bigger. From this invisible woman in the first sentence, she is becoming more and more emphasized. And let us go on. The priest shall cause her to swear, and shall say unto the woman, if no man have lain with thee, and if thou hast not gone aside to uncleanliness, being under thy husband, be thou free from this water of bitterness that causes the curse. If this woman is perfectly innocent, and this could be the case, then the priest says, you shall be free. Okay? Now, starting with this sentence, and also the or in the beginning, means that the text is admitting right from the beginning that the man and his jealousy could be misplaced. The woman could be perfectly innocent. This is a huge jump even today in our part of the world, in the Middle East. Usually, if a woman is suspected and if the man is jealous, her end is not a good one. Even today, there are many honor murders. Here, if she is innocent and the man is wrong, she goes free. Let us go on. And the priest shall cause her to swear. Again, there's a repetition. And shall say unto the woman, if no man have lain with thee, and if thou hast not gone aside to uncleanness, I've read that. You shall be free, but, Pasuk Kaf, if thou hast gone aside, being unto thy husband, and if thou be defiled, and some man have laid with thee besides thy husband, we don't know, then the priest shall cause the woman to swear with the oath of cursing, and the priest shall say unto the woman, the Lord make thee a curse and an oath among thy people, when the Lord doth make thy thigh to fall away and thy belly to swell. This might seem like a terrible thing, and of course it is a terrible thing, but let's just have a look at it a little bit more carefully. So he's saying, if you are guilty, okay, Yiten Adonai otach le'ala v'leshvu'a b'toch amech. You shall be accursed. Now, the Hebrew word for curse is Aleph Lamed Hey, which are exactly the same letters as the Hebrew word for goddess, Ella. You should be, well, it's a curse, but perhaps it could also be a goddess. What makes us read it this way is the way the woman looks. She's standing in the most holy place. Her hair is loosed. Her hands are full of barley. It is very much like the image of the Mesopotamian goddesses of the ancient world. And then, what is this curse of Yerechech nofelet ve'et bitnech tzava? Your thigh will fall away and your belly swell. It sounds terrible, but belly swelling, what is the immediate association of a belly in a woman swelling? Yes, of course, it's pregnancy. It's conceiving. It's the gift of Chava. And it also makes the woman bigger. So again, gradually through the story, the woman is getting bigger and bigger. And the woman, and this water will go on, Pasuk Kafbet, and this water of bitterness that causes the curse, shall go into thy bowels and make thy belly to swell and thy thigh to fall away, and the woman shall say, Amen, Amen. The first time the woman speaks, she says, Amen, Amen. And the question is, why two? Well, Amen, she obviously agrees to it. Why two Amen? Again, I'd like to suggest, as I did in the beginning, there are two stories here. There are two women, and therefore, Amen, Amen. Amen for the woman who is innocent, Amen for the woman who is guilty. And the priest shall write these curses in a scroll, and he shall blot them out in the water of bitterness. So the next thing the priest does is he writes the curse down. He writes down, Yiten Adonai otach le'ala v'leshvu'a b'toch amech. He writes this down, and he blots it out in the holy water and in the dust that we call the water of bitterness. Okay? And he shall make the woman drink the water of bitterness that causeth the curse, and the water that causeth the curse shall enter into her and become bitter. Again, the double. And the priest shall take the meal offering of jealousy out of the woman's hand, and shall wave the meal offering before the Lord, and bring it unto the altar. And again, a double again. And the priest shall take a handful of the meal offering as the memorial, and make it smoke upon the altar, and afterwards shall make the woman drink the water. What's actually happening here? We're repeating things. And when he hath made her drink the water, then it shall come to pass, if she be defiled and have acted unfaithfully against her husband, that the water causeth the curse shall enter into her and become bitter, and her belly shall swell, and her thigh shall fall away. and the woman shall be a curse among her people. And if the woman be not defiled, again, the two, but be clean, then shall she be cleared and shall conceive seed. V'nizra'ah zera. Wow. What is this? Conceive seed, she will become pregnant. From what? From the water? What do we have here? An immaculate conception? What is going on? This is the law of jealousy. When a wife being under her husband goeth aside and is defiled, or, again the or, when the spirit of jealousy cometh upon a man and he be jealous over his wife, then shall he set the woman before the Lord, and the priest shall execute upon her all this law. And the man shall be clear from iniquity, and the woman shall bear her iniquity. Okay. This is the text. So many questions, so many mysteries. We would ask ourselves in the theater, what's going on here? First of all, it's a trial by ordeal, the drinking of the bitter waters. And this is unique in the Torah. There is no other trial by ordeal. And in fact, it's unique in the history of trial by ordeal, because usually a trial by ordeal is weighted against the victim. Witches were tied up and thrown into the river. And if they would sink, they would be innocent, and if they would float, they would be guilty, and they would be hauled out and burned or whatever. Putting your hand in the fire. If your hand is burned, then you're guilty, and if it comes up clean, you're innocent. But here, there is nothing ostensibly dangerous about holy water and dust in the tabernacle. There is nothing poisonous here. There is another element, and that is the curse that the priest writes. You shall be a curse. God will make you, Yudke Vavke, will make you a curse among your people. But the Mishnah tells us what ink has to be used and was used. There is nothing poisonous there. So what is actually happening? Is it magic? And what is this blotting out of God's name? What is so dangerous that would require such an extreme act? You know that in Judaism, the ultimate curse is Yimach Shemo, may his name be blotted out. And here, this is exactly what is happening here. The priest, in order that the woman drink the curse, is blotting out the name of God. So, what is happening? A few things. I would like to suggest that it is not just God's name that is blotted out, it is the whole curse that is blotted out. And somehow the woman is going through a ritual in order not only to alleviate the jealousy of the man, but also to blot out curses in the universe. The story is about two women, one who has become defiled and one who has remained pure. And the two women in the story are connected. They're almost holding each other. In the spirit of Hasidism, which reads the Torah as a mirror of the world and of the soul, we could possibly think that we were talking about the same woman who has both gone astray and not gone astray. The woman forever will walk on the path and long to walk elsewhere. And so she will create changes in the world. But the story is not just about the woman. It's about jealousy. And we know how dangerous jealousy is from other places in the Torah, where it says in Shemot, Ki lo tishtachaveh le'el acher, ki Adonai kana shmo el kanahu. Don't bow down to other gods, because God is a jealous God. And it says again in Devarim, Lo tilchun achrei Elohim, don't go after other gods, because God is a jealous God, and He will destroy you from the face of the earth. It seems that jealousy is a very destructive element and can destroy, totally obliterate people and perhaps worlds. So all these questions that we asked ourselves, the woman who becomes like a goddess, the invisible woman that becomes visible, the duality, the blotting out of God. And there is another important element here, and that is the element of doubt. We do not know. That is why there are two stories. That is why everything is repeated twice, because it could be this way or it could be this way. We do not know. This not knowing apparently can cause incredible cosmic unrest. So we must have something that will alleviate both the doubt and the jealousy. So I would like to suggest that perhaps this story is about regaining order, regaining love. The topic is about love. I would like to suggest that perhaps when the smallest unit of civilization, which is a relationship between a man and a woman, that's the smallest social unit. Afterwards you have family, and then you have extended family, and then you have community. But the smallest unit is a man and a woman. When there is this absolute doubt, we do not know what is happening in the relationship. And when there is jealousy caused by this doubt, we have chaos. And where there is chaos, order must be restored. And order is reinstated here by a reenactment of the creation of the world. It is restored by theater. The goddess is brought to the center of the stage. She is made larger, as large as possible, with her hair being revealed, with her holding the barley. She is seen to imbibe the most concrete artifice that we have of God, that is His name. She takes it into her body, and the result is that her stomach swells and order is restored because she gives birth. She reinforces life. And so the spirit of jealousy is alleviated, and we as a community can go on with our lives. Of course, this is a radical reading, but this is the reading that our theatre company understood. And now the question is, how do we take these huge mythic elements and create a play that has relevancy for a contemporary audience? What does this have to do with the present day? What does this have to do with relationships of jealousy and desire? The Mishnah makes this exact quantum leap. It asks the same questions, and the Mishnah transforms this cosmic jealousy that threatens to destroy the world into a legal act, It says, how can a man be jealous of his wife? Well, the way the Mishnah tells us that a man can be jealous of his wife is that he has to say to his wife before two witnesses, do not speak to Joe Doe. Okay? That is what he has to do. This is what Kina is. It is an amazing leap. The man has to forbid the woman to speak. Ledaber, midbar. This is where we met the Sota in the beginning. So, by forbidding the woman to speak with so-and-so, he is making his jealousy public because he has to do it in front of two witnesses. Imagine today, with so many acts of violence committed against women, if their partner would take the woman down to City Hall or to the local, I don't know, meeting place and say before two witnesses, don't speak to so-and-so. Everybody's eyes would be on the man and on this couple, and perhaps the community would come around and help. This is how the Mishnah begins. And then it goes on and on to enumerate other numerous conditions for the Sota to be taken to drink the bitter waters in Jerusalem. And there are so many conditions that it is almost impossible for a woman to actually be taken to drink the waters. And in fact, our sages tell us, and according to research, that this ceremony probably was never actually carried out. But the ceremony exists in our writings, and therefore it exists in our consciousness. And in our consciousness, this woman is a very special woman, because if she at any time says, I don't want to drink the waters, no matter how many suspicions there are against her, she cannot be made to drink the waters. If the man touches her at any time after he has told her not to speak to Mr. Plonny, she cannot be taken to drink the waters, and so on and so on and so on. So this woman, theoretical woman, who does eventually drink the waters, must have a very special mission. She must really want to do it. And her mission might be that she wants to restore love, or it might be something else. Let us have a look at one story, a midrash, which informed the way we created the play. It personifies the two women of the Torah into a lovely, well, I don't know, lovely, but a very powerful story. It's Midrash Tanhuma, and let me read it to you. The tale is told of two sisters who were very alike one to each other, and one was married in one city and one was married in another city. The husband of one requested to begin the procedure of jealousy and to have his wife drink the bitter waters in Jerusalem. So she went to the same city in which her sister was married and living there. Her sister said to her, why did you come here? She said to her, my husband is wanting me to drink the bitter waters. Her sister said to her, I will go under you and drink. She said to her, go. So she dressed in her sister's clothes and went instead of her and drank the bitter waters and was found pure. So she came back to her sister's house, and her sister came out happy towards her, embraced her, and kissed her on the mouth. But because they kissed each other, she smelled the bitter waters and immediately died. Okay. So we have the two women who are so much alike that they are sisters now. The woman the two women of the Torah, and they are so much alike that even their husband can't differentiate between them. And when they kiss after the ritual, one woman immediately falls away. One woman dies. And I want to suggest that this story is suggesting that every woman has both these elements in her, and that the woman, by the very act of examining herself, makes any impurity in her die. This reading is substantiated by the Zohar, which elaborates and enlarges on this midrash, and even compares the Sota to the Shekhinah and her relationship with God. The Shekhinah in tradition is also associated with the children of Israel. And we read earlier that God is jealous of the children of Israel, that they shouldn't go to other gods too. And in this midrash of the Zohar, we see a repetitive dance of stiyah and purity. The midrash parallels the woman of valor and the woman of lust, and it is clear that it's affirming to the feminine principle, which contains this ambivalence, and the midrash sees this as a cyclical occurrence. When a woman of valor, here the people of Israel, the Shekhinah, examines herself, a woman of lust disappears spontaneously, and so a woman of valor is certainly pure. This is the spontaneous death of the sister. The midrash goes further and compares this female cyclical movement between a woman of valor and a woman of lust to the cycle of the seasons by comparing the offering of the Sota, which you remember is barley, to the barley offering of the Omer. On the first day of Pesach, we, the children of Israel, bring a barley offering. So the Zohar suggests that this offering allows the marriage of Am Yisrael and God to take place on Shavuot 7 weeks later. So what the midrash, very beautiful midrash, is saying, when winter arrives, the female birthing principle goes into hiding below the earth. We cannot see the seeds, the zera, present in the earth. And with the coming of spring in Pesach, the green shoots begin to sprout, and we see what she has nourished in her house of hiding all winter. The very act of bringing the offering of barley, the very act of examining herself, promises her purity until the next winter, and so on, in an ever cyclical dance. And in fact, in our play, Sota, movement and dance, singing, and the movement between the two women was a central element, as was the story of the two sisters. There were 4 characters in our Sota. There were 2 women who were playing the 2 women, and they didn't look anything like each other. One was young and very fashionably slim. The other was the huge, large woman. I don't know if you can see. Here they are, the 2 of them together, if you can see that. And we had the husband, and we had the lover, but each character was also playing a mythic character. The lover was the Jew, the wandering Jew. The husband was also Baal, Elohim. The woman, the dual aspect of the woman, was represented by the 2 actresses. One actress held the linear story, and the other actress kept on going out of the story to bring us additions to the story. For example, we had the Holy Mother, Mary, in the story because she had immaculate conception. We had the great goddess, the great whore in the story, because she is the woman who is guilty in the desert. And slowly, the story would unfold on the stage. Both women were dressed in red, very deep red, and halfway through they changed to white because they were surely pure. I think this gives you a kind of an idea of the way we worked with texts. If you have any questions, I don't know if you're still there, then I'll be happy to add them and to continue, but I see that we're already at 6:01, so I don't exactly know how this hookup works. Well, I can't hear anything, so I guess I'm just going to end by thanking you. Oh, you can continue if you wish. Yigal, are there any questions? I'm just waiting for the... No, as for now. Okay, so what I would like to do is just thank you. Thank you very much for being with me, for listening to this, and perhaps next time that you read any story containing a woman in the Torah, you will watch out for where is her subversive act and where is her reward. In Sota, the subversive act is going astray, and her reward is being the vehicle of creation. And next time that you are in Israel, in Jerusalem, please come and see our performances and tell us. Come up and tell us. You can write to us. Theatre Company Jerusalem. You can find us in Google, and you'll find the email there. Tell us that you heard of us or saw us on the Global Day of Learning, and thank you very much for your attention. Okay, you go. I think